Welcome everyone into this presentation. My team member who are going to present today, me, Ashraf, Aminsha, Mona, Fatima, Ishtiaq. We're going to talk about the process we have followed to deploy the product in the market. Why did we choose the agile methodology to deploy the product in the market? I would also like to give you guys some real picture regarding what application we have used till the end of our project. So first, I would like to talk about our company. As you guys can see on the slide, our company name is Cyberpunk 2.0, which established in Feb 2020. Although we are a new company, but we have already finished working on a project named Ozaro.shop. So we decided to come together and form a company in February. So within the 6 months, we work on a project Ozaro.shop. I'd like to give you a clear picture why you should give us your new project. So first thing I'd like to talk about the SDLC. If you want to make a software, you just don't open your computer and type writing code. So you have to follow some steps. That's where the SDLC comes forward. So the first thing in SDLC is requirement gathering, or we can say planning. BM is the stakeholder to figure out what are the requirements. Then documentation is created. That's in this process. Analysis in this step, detailed study is done to understand if it's possible to complete the project within the given time frame. Design in this step, we decide what platform we're going to use, what will be the language. Implementation, or we can say code writing. Here, developer write code. Developer will try to use the same code again from the previous project so that we can save some time. Testing and integration in this step, whatever module developer team have made, we as a QA, we have to test the functionality both manually and on automation as well. So maintenance, we have to check some non-functional things in this step. For example, I can say how many users is the software can handle at one time. Before I go to the next slide, I have to talk about what is Agile, what is Scrum, what is Sprint. So Agile is a philosophy to rapidly deploy an application, in more organized ways. Scrum is a framework in Agile methodology. So we can say, and Sprint is a set amount of time. Within that set amount of time, we have to complete the tasks, whatever tasks we have been provided. So we can, in simple word, we can say that Scrum is a framework that helps the team to work together more effectively like a football team. So now I'm going to discuss a little bit about the Scrum framework. As you guys can see, this is the first thing you see over here is the product backlog. Client requirements are put in the product backlog. Then we move to the sprint planning meeting. Here we estimate every stories. So for our last project, we followed the poker gaming story estimation method to estimate the story. Then those stories are moved to the sprint backlog, whichever requirement we will be working on according to the product owner need. Then the Scrum team usually consists of 5 to 7 people. We are 5 people for our Scrum team. Then it comes to the sprint review. Then it comes to the increment. So increment is a potential deployable product. For example, for Ozaro.shop, whenever we work on the homepage first, that was not the finalized product. We showed it to the product owner so that he can give us some feedback and we can work on it again. Or if we like it, we can keep it that way. So the daily Scrum is usually stand for 15 minutes. Here we talk about like what I'm going to do today, what I did yesterday. Last but not the least, the 2 points you can see, that sprint retrospective and sprint review. These two things are like most of the people are misconception that these two things are the same thing, but not. In sprint review, we talk about the product itself, but in sprint retrospective, we talk about the build in the process of building the product, whatever process we have followed. So I'm going to move to next slide. Sorry. Okay, this is just to give you guys a visualization in Jira. These are all the user stories, or we can say client requirement. So the green logo in Jira represent the user story, or you can say client requirement. So last my slide is about Scrum artifact. So now what is Scrum artifact? Scrum artifact gives us a picture of a Scrum team progress. So three things consist in the Scrum artifact. One is product backlog, which I have already talked about, sprint backlog, which I've talked about as well. The only thing left is the burn down chart. So burn down chart is a graphical representation of work left to do versus the time left. The rate of progress of a Scrum team is called velocity. It expresses the amount of the story points completed per iteration.
As we know, there are two different kinds of testing, functional and non-functional. Functional testing is based on customer requirements and verifies each function and feature of software, while non-functional testing, which is done based on customer expectation, verifies non-functional aspects like performance, usability, reliability, security, and compatibility. All the tests like effective and successful installation of the software, project setup, execution, management, and maintenance of the application were performed under non-functional testing. Different functional testing, such as unit testing, is the testing of the single module in an isolated environment. Integration testing is the testing of the system by combining the modules logically and testing them as a group to check for any defects when they are integrated. System testing is done on the completed application product before it is introduced to the market, while acceptance testing is the last phase of testing and is done by actual end users, where the application is tested to make sure it can handle required tasks in real-world scenarios. Smoke testing is done at an initial stage to check basic functionality of the application. Smoke tests like verifying application launch, checking browser responsiveness were done during the project. Lastly, we use regression testing to test the application where it undergoes a code change to ensure the new code has not affected other parts of that application. These are the testing we carried out for our project Ozaro.Shop. Now let's discuss manual process of testing. As we all know, every test cases may not be automated. In our project, we first manually executed the test on the basis of predefined test cases. This is a visual representation of manual testing cycle. The first step is the requirement analysis. We study the project documentation guide, then test planning is carried out. After which designing of the test cases is done. The next step is reviewing and planning the execution of test case with the team lead and client. Then the test is executed. After execution, when defects are found, we report it as bugs. When bugs are fixed, then the test cases are retested and re-executed. Now you wonder why I'm talking about backlog. The entire requirement for the project as shown in the figure, which is on the to-do list, is the product backlog, while the requirement or the work in progress for each module or the active sprint is the sprint backlog. During the sprint planning meeting, the team determines the product backlog items they will work on during the sprint and discuss their initial plan for completing those product backlog items. We also have to estimate the time required to complete each user stories. Story points are used for estimating the size of an issue in Scrum teams. While estimating story points, we assign a point value to each story. More time it takes, greater the number. Now you might be thinking where all these tasks are executed. That's when comes in Jira. For managing our project in Agile environment and carrying out the test execution, we use Jira as a tool which made it easier for effective management of the project, from executing the test cases to track the issues, reporting the bugs, and ensuring that it meets the objectives set out in the requirements and is delivered in timely fashion. We also use Jaffer as a plugin for Jira in our project, which brought quality test management capabilities in our project. It helped us track coverage with end-to-end traceability between requirements, tests, and defects, and helped prevent failure. As in the figure, this is how traceability matrix traces the requirements, test cases, test execution, and defect. Lastly, I would like to discuss about defect lifecycle. While when test cases are executed, and if any failure in test, then defect is initiated and bug is reported. When a tester finds a bug, it goes through stages of defect life cycle process and it ends when the bug is fixed. This is the visual representation of defect life cycle. When the defect is found, it is assigned to the developer, then it goes through the various stages in the cycle, after which it is tested, verified, and that's how the defect is closed.
First, I'm going to explain the most important part, what is automation. Automation testing is a software testing technique to test and compare the actual outcome and the expected outcome. This can be achieved by writing test scripts or using any automation testing tool. And of course, automation tools, testing process, and teams are very important players for automation to be successful. Next, I'm going to talk about benefits of automation testing. Once created, automated tests can be run over and over again, and they are much faster than manual tests. Automated testing saves time and money, of course, which is very important, right? Automation software process by following the same steps for a given test case to reproduce a defect. Now I'm going to explain what is Eclipse. Eclipse is an integrated development environment, or we can say IDE. It is mostly written in Java. The main purpose of it is for developing a Java application. However, with help of a plugin, it can also be used to develop an application in other languages. It is a cross-platform application that can be used in Mac, Windows, and Linux. An alternative application of Eclipse like NetBeans and IntelliJ. So now let me tell you what Selenium is. Selenium is an open source framework which is used for automation testing of web applications. It is flexible when it comes to testing functional and regression test cases. It supports multiple languages and can be performed in multiple browsers and platforms. Selenium can be integrated with tools such as Maven for managing the test cases and generating the reports. Selenium doesn't have a reporting facility, but we can overcome this issue by integrating the frame of testing on Maven. Now the question is, what is Maven? Maven is a powerful project management tool that is based on POM, Project Object Model. It is used for projects build, dependency, and documentation. In short terms, we can tell Maven is a tool that can be used for building and managing any Java-based project. Advantage of Maven. Maven manages project dependencies. Maven plugin is one or more repositories. It also used to build and manage a project like C#, Ruby, and other languages. Maven offers a simple project setup that follows the best practice. Maven has the ability to work with multiple projects at the same time. Let's understand what is BDD. BDD stands for Behavior-Driven Development. In a single way, we can say it is a technique where test cases are written in plain sentences. With the approach, the non-technical team members easily understand the flow and collaborate more on the process of software development. There are three conditions which are given, when, and then. So this is very understanding, right? So this is all about BDD. Now, what is Cucumber? Cucumber is a tool that supports behavior-driven development, which is BDD. It offers to write a test that anyone can understand regardless of any technical knowledge. It explains the behavior of the application in simple text using the Gherkin language. Benefits of Cucumber testing. Cucumber is the most popular tool because of the following reasons. First one is open source and free to use. You can write your test scripts with multiple languages like Java, Ruby, C#, and Python. Second one is style of writing tests that allow to easier reuse of code in the test. Third one is Cucumber easily integrate with Selenium. Quick and easy setup and execution. It is helpful to involve business stakeholders who cannot easily read code. My last topic is, what is Gherkin? Gherkin is the format for Cucumber. It is a domain-specific language that helps to describe business behavior without the need to go into detail of implementation. First one is Gherkin syntax, which is given when and then. And second one is real-time example using Gherkin syntax. You can see this slide. So in my last picture, you guys can see that if we haven't used Gherkin, it would be very difficult for a non-technical guy to understand the scenarios. Because of Gherkin syntax, anyone can understand what feature is going to be run. So this is all about the Selenium automation process.
Every object has optional attributes too, like such as class, name, and ID. Expert is another way to identify objects. It can be used to navigate through element and attributes in XML documents. It is the address of a web element in a web page. Then we come come up with the customized expert. Most widely use the customized expert using tag names and attributes to locate exact attribute or decrease the number of matching nodes resulting from a page. The benefit of expert. Experts' queries are compact and easily phrased. Queries are very easy to understand, easy to read and type. Complete expert is start from the DOM or source page and start from the HTML tag and go until it finds the object. And partial expert is tries to find the nearest expert with a given attribute and build the expert from there using ID, name, text, or any other attribute that relates to the web element. The most commonly used expert is the customized expert. And we have many dynamic objects that keep changing every time you close the browser, but those functions help us to execute those objects without any problems. Then comes CSS selector. A CSS selector is a combination of any element selector and a value which identifies the element within a page. CSS selector performs far better than expert, and it is well documented in Selenium community. The hash number sign represent ID and dot sign represent class. In my last project, Usario workshop, we implemented CSS selector and the custom expert because these are more accurate, reliable, and fast. We were able to execute more test cases and were able to complete applications successfully. Also, we had many dynamic objects that kept changing every time you close browser, but those functions help us to execute those objects without facing any problems. Along with the Selenium, my another teammate was talking about the different kind of testing. So such as front-end testing, we need to come up with the back-end testing also. We also need to perform back-end testing as my teammate, Aminsha was mentioned before, many kind of tests, functional and non-functional testing. Out of there are some testing that functionality of data or stored in a database. There is a scripting language called SQL we can use to do this kind of testing. In our last project, when customer buy product and check out product, we need to store those data in a database in order to finish the process. Even when you go to a website and try to log in, it won't work if the information doesn't store in the database. So SQL is a language that communicates with the relational database management system that also store the data. To pull, edit, and add information to a database, you can use the language of SQL. As a software tester, you are required to perform database testing that requires the knowledge of different SQL and database concepts along with the ability to write SQL queries. So just like DBA and SQL developer, learning this skill is equally important for software testers as a professional as well. Testers are required to have a strong knowledge of SQL because backend testing involves database and business logic testing, verify, insert, update, and delete that test data values in the database. Backend testing is important to check for deadlock, data corruption, and data loss too. When you are functionally testing a system database via GUI, graphical user interface, using the computer, website, mobile apps, you also need to validate the data which you send is correctly updated in the database. It also helps the automation testing. Sometimes we need to automate a test case, which is a part of the complete flow. And if we do not automate part of the complete flow, that will be redundant code. Because when you use application using GUI, the application connects to the internet and send data to the server and database. You can also verify this manually using SQL to validate the records in a database. When you use an application on your mobile phone, computer, the application connects to the internet and send the data server. That's where the API comes in. It tells where the data is, which is added in front end, added to the backend system or not. We need database testing with automation testing in order to test the complete end-to-end scenarios. My last project, database, helps us to keep track of basic transaction. It provides information that helps the company run the business more efficiently. It also helps our team make our better decision.
Let me tell you a small story. When Chris and Tom both first started working on GitHub in late 2007, GitHub was largely unknown as version of control system. There were no commercial Git hosting option whatsoever. And so GitHub was created to provide developers the option to host code securely and manage commits to code in proper manner. Isn't that interesting? Before I start my presentation today, I would like to ask you how many of you are familiar with GitHub? I'm sure not many of you. Keeping that in my mind, I uploaded 2 screenshots in my slides so that you can visualize what we have worked on during our internship time. So today, I'm going to speak about GitHub and its benefits first. GitHub is a platform where it provides a facility to host for software development and version control using Git. GitHub hosts source code projects in variety of different programming languages and keeping track of the various changes made to vary iterations. So GitHub provides a web-based graphical interface. Secondly, provides access control. And lastly, GitHub is full with fork, pull request, and merge functionalities. So you can see the next slides. Yes. So fork, pull, push, request, or merge functionalities are what make GitHub so powerful. So now question arises, what are the main benefit of using GitHubs are? So let me tell you, it is easy to contribute to your open source project, documentation, showcase works, track changes in code across version, integration options. And there are so many alternatives to GitHub, such as SourceForge and VSS. Those are mostly for Microsoft, and I guess they are licensed. So secondly, if you go to next slide, now I'm open to discuss about continuous integration and continuous delivery properly are known as CI/CD. CI is a software development practice in which all developer merge code changes in a central repository multiple times in a day. CD on top continuous integration adds the practice of automation the entire software release process. So the importance of CI/CD. Engineers can work on important projects and not worry about time-consuming manual tasks. They can also work confidently knowing that errors are caught automatically, not right before deployment. Isn't that helpful? So CI/CD is one of the agile it's one of the agile methodology and DevOps teams' best practices to implement. It involves software development teams to focus on meeting business requirements, code equality, and security through automated deployment process. CI/CD requires continuous testing to developer quality application and code to users. Continuous testing is often implemented as a set of automated regression. Performance and other tests are executed in CI/CD pipeline. So if to the next slide. Now, last but not the least, I'm going to talk about the tool we commonly use for CI. Let me tell you one last time an interesting fact of the day, which is Jenkins originally meant Little John or son of a John. I bet you didn't know that fact. So Jenkins is an open source automation tool built for continuous integration purpose. Jenkins is used to build and test software projects continuously, making it easier for developers to integrate change to the project and making it easier for users to obtain fresh builds. It also allows continuously deliver the software by integrating with a large number of testing and deployment technologies. There are a few alternatives for Jenkins, such as JetBrains and Bamboo Continuous Integration. So now you must be thinking how Jenkins is useful in automation testing. So I'm here to help you with that. Jenkins automated testing comes with an excellent functionality that allows the tester to schedule test automation cases and run them as per as convenience. So let's talk about advantage of Jenkins now. It also open source tools with great community support. It's easy to install. It has 1,000+ plugins to ease your work. It is built with Java. And lastly, it is free of cost, which all we want, right? I bet you smile on that. So, as Peter Seeger once said, any damn fool can make something complex. It takes a genius to make something simple. So without making our presentation complex, we made it as simple as possible.
First, we followed the SDLC process in Agile methodology. We have done manual test case, and 90% of them are done in automation as well. We have used Jira for our work management tool. whenever bugs is found, we have followed the bug life cycle. For automation, we have followed the BDD framework by using Gherkin syntax. We restrained our team from using relative expert to address web element. We have used Git as a repository for our automation script. We have used Jenkins for code deployment. Last but not the least, we have used Sauce Lab as a cross-browsing testing tool. So that's it from us. I hope you guys liked our presentation.
Thank you for being here today. I am Mihika, Manager U2 Solutions. I'm here to give you a walkthrough of our company. Our genesis, mission, vision, and credentials so far ahead is our journey. U2 Solutions was founded in 2001 as a software testing and quality assurance subdivision of the software development company. What U2 Solutions started as a humble team of skilled manual testers quickly grew into a team of 100 plus highly skilled QA engineers with expertise in manual and automated testing. Our team continues to expand, our expertise continues to grow, but our goal of providing clients with the most through software testing and QA services remains unchanged. Now let us all understand why automation testing. It's efficient, it's reusable, reliable, improves accuracy, saves time and money, reduces human generated errors, and also supports the execution of repeated test cases. As a key player for software testing, our goal is to expand test coverage, increase speed, efficiency, and quality while reducing testing costs. So now why U2 Solutions? Our quality testing solutions help accelerate digital transformation journey across industry. Here is an example my team would like to present on how they worked on one of our recent projects, which we were able to automate 90% successfully. So this is one of our current projects that we are live with. The website is ozaro.com by Transfotech Academy. Ozaro.com is an e-commerce website which has trendy collection of accessories and gadgets. If you may want to feel a look of the site to experience the seamless output. So this is my team who worked on ozaro.com. Tanya is my Scrum Master. Mona is my business analyst and automation tester. Sumendra is my automation lead, and Maruf is from the DevOps team.
We have implemented Agile methodology for our last project, Ozaro.com. Agile software development is where requirements and solutions evolve through self-organized and cross-functional teams. Scrum and Kanban are two of our most widely used Agile methodologies. The main difference between Agile and Waterfall is Waterfall projects are completed sequentially and Agile projects are completed in cycle. The main benefit of Agile is the ability to change customer wants and needs, a short fixed timeline that allows for immediate feedback from our customer, and the ability to move immediate to production. There are many frameworks out there, but we use Scrum and Kanban. Kanban and Scrum are frameworks that help team ahead to Agile principles and set stuff done. A Scrum framework is divided into roles, which is product owner, Scrum Master, and teams. Ceremonies like sprint planning, sprint review, sprint retrospective, and daily Scrum meeting. And artifacts like product backlog, sprint backlog, and burn down chart.
I was responsible for gathering all the necessary requirement and specification from our client. After gathering all the requirement from the client, I had everyday stand-up meeting with my team member where I used to discuss about project design. As per the client requirement, I wrote user stories, as you can see over here. This is Jira board where I wrote all the user stories and handed over to the Scrum Master.
After my BA wrote the user story, we had a sprint planning meeting where we went through all the user stories, and I divided the user stories between my team members to write the test cases, and we played a poker to estimate the time frame for a given task. Test cases were written in Jira Jaifer in Gherkin language. Gherkin language is a format for Cucumber specification. It is an domain a specific language which helps you to describe business behavior without need to go through into details. Daily stand-up meeting were facilitated by me every day around 9:30 a.m. for around 15 minutes, where we used to focus on three main questions: what I did yesterday, what I will do today, and what is in my way. When the test cases are completed by my QA team, I shifted all the test cases from to do to in progress. These are the tests that we have performed on our project, which is unit test, sanity test, smoke test, regression test, integration test, and usability test. First, my QA engineer divided the test cases. Then I created different test cycle for different type of testing, and I shifted the test cases into respective test cycle. Then the test cases, when the test cases fails, we use the bug life cycle, which also known as defect life cycle, to notify our developers. As you can see, this is an example of how to write defects step by step, so it's easier for the developer to understand where the exact problem is located. Once I completed all the execution with the help of this chart, I was able to keep track of the progress of my team, and it also helped me to give a better picture to my team what they need to work on and how many time they have for next sprint. After the manual testing was completed successfully, I created a automation testing cycle and shifted 90% of the test cases for automation process.
Here, I'll give you just the flavor of BDD and TDD. BDD stands for behavioral driven development, and TDD is test driven development. BDD test cases are written by stakeholders with Gherkin language, which is simple English language. And TDD test cases are written by developers in any programming language like Java, Python, Ruby, etc. So as an automation lead, I have used BDD framework for this particular project. Here, the Selenium is a functional automation tool for web applications. Selenium supports multiple programming languages like HTML, Java, PHP, Perl, Python, Ruby, and C#. The Selenium framework's code structure helps us reuse the code, reduce code maintenance, higher code readability, and allows multiple users to work on same piece of code. Like here, we have the framework. On our left side, we can see, I don't know if it's visible to everyone, like test-based class, config.properties, page object model, feature files, hierarchical inheritance in Java, move-in dependencies. Here is the example of test-based class. Test-based class is the main class which will take care of browser setup, loading configuration files, and many more. Config.properties is a file extension for files mainly used in Java-related technologies to store the configurable parameters of an application.config. Properties helps us minimize hard code in our project. Page object model as a design pattern used to build an object repository for the web elements available in the application under test, whereas page factory is a way of implementing the page object model. When more than one class inherits a same class, then this is called hierarchical inheritance. For example, here on the right side, the picture shows class B and class C extends a same class A. And here on the left side, I have the code. I don't know if it's visible for everyone. Here's the example of hierarchical inheritance, which on the top you can see that extends test page. Features files contain high-level description of the test scenario in simple language. It is known as Gherkin. Gherkin is plain English text language. Here, the given and when, these are the examples of Gherkin language. Cucumber test runner class is one of the many mechanisms using which we can run Cucumber feature file. The test runner class that is used in this article is a JUnit runner class. And the example is here.
Thank you, Mr. Somendra. I work as a BA and automation tester for this company. As an automation tester, I use open source called Extend Report. The use of this report was very helpful and easy to use for our team. And it is also very useful for quick analysis of each test cases, like they are either pass, fail, or skip. Yeah, and this is XPath. XPath was used when elements are not identified by the general locators like ID, class, name, etc. It is also used to find a web element. We can also choose element through absolute, relative, and customize XPath. Selenium command are the set of commands that are used to run our Selenium test. Since we are using Selenium WebDriver with the Java command, are simply method written in Java language. And last one is mouse over action. As shown in diagram, we perform mouse over action on element in Selenium with the help of action class. While performing mouse movement, we use, as you can see here, move to element method of the action class, use build perform to execute all the steps.
As a DevOps engineer, I chose GitHub as a version control tool because it is free and free for teams, and most companies use it as a version control tool. How I use GitHub in this project. At the beginning of this project, I created a Java Maven project with few packages. Then I created a GitHub repository and pushed it into GitHub. After that, my team member had to fork it and then clone the repository. After writing test cases, they had to commit it and send me a pull request to merge code to the repository. This is a typical GitHub page where you can commit or clone the repository, or even you can delete this repository. DevOps process aims to reduce the software development lifecycle and provide continuous delivery of software with minimum defects. Some important steps of DevOps are shown in this figure. In order to get faster deployment of software and for regression tests, we need to automate test cases. To do so, we use a tool named Jenkins. We use Jenkins because it is free and easy to use. How I use Jenkins in this project? Let's talk about this. After writing automation code by tester, they push code into GitHub. And I also added a Maven plugin named Maven-Surefire plugin into XML. Then I specified our GitHub repository and wrote some comments in Jenkins. After this, I did not have to do anything. Jenkins did it automatically for us. Jenkins ran automation tests every time when the GitHub repository was updated and sent test report to the QS. Every website has two different parts. One is front end and one is back end. The front end is what user can see on the screen, and the backend is the server side of the website. Backend is the base of every web app. It decides what user will see and access data in the website. It also ensures security of connection between user and the server, as well as security of user data. So we need to test the backend side of the website. So we perform database testing in our project. There are three types of database testing, but we perform only structural testing and functional testing. We did black box testing so that we can verify data is sent to the user and data is stored into the database. We also did keys and indexing testing because we wanted to ensure that the required primary key and foreign key constraints are working properly. There are a lot of different operating systems, browsers, devices in the market. So we need to test cross-browser testing in order to check our website can work on most browsers. But we can test it on real devices. Then our cost of the testing will grow up. That's why we used a tool named Soslet.
After every sprint, I organized a sprint review and sprint retrospective meeting with my team to discuss what we can improve for our next sprint so we can deliver 99% bug-free website to our clients.
So guys, thank you all for your valuable time. I'd like to thank each one of you for giving us the opportunity to present our work together. I hope we have been able to touch base on all the relevant elements pertaining to our deliverables. We look forward to officially associate with you soon. Thank you again for your time. Here is a little making of the project.
As you can say, we had a great time and lots of fun working as a team, and we have learned a lot from each other. And thank you so much.